Hello, my name is Gabe McGuire, and this is my biopsychology final/presentation. And the topic I chose for my presentation was the evolution of the human brain. Alright, here we go. So introduction. It is debated what time period the first early hominid with early human characteristics actually evolved. Characterizing and classifying early human ape-like remains have been very difficult for many scientists. So many remains are based off of the scientists that discovered it. So usually scientists just characterize what they think is first early humans. And so for my presentation, I'll be using hominids up to 6 million years ago, when physical characteristics like bipedalism became prominent, and that's when I'll start my time period of where I think early humans began. Description. From the beginning of human evolution, the brain has gone over drastic changes to what we know today. These changes stem from physical and mental needs to better survive in a changing environment. Our species, Homo sapiens, simply did not start out with the brains we have today. It took millions of years of evolution to get to where we are. Early human brains have increased in size and, more significantly, have had many changes in the structure of the brain. So here's a short video of a little history lesson of human evolution. Some of the prominent and significant things that have happened in the course of human evolution.
Let's take our journey through the timeline of human evolution. 55 million years ago, first primitive primates evolve. First gorillas evolved about 8 to 6 million years ago, later from which chimp and human lineages diverged. Oldest human ancestor Oryctolagus, who could walk on two legs, lived about 5.8 million years ago. Ardipithecus, the proto-human, that lived 5.5 million years ago, shared traits with chimps and gorillas, and was forest-dwelling. Australopithecines appeared about 4 million years ago. They had a brain volume of around 400 to 500 cubic centimeters, roughly equal to that of chimpanzee. They were the first human ancestors to live on the savanna. Lucy, famous specimen of Australopithecus afarensis, lived near Hadar, in Ethiopia 3.2 million years ago. About 2.7 million years ago, Paranthropus lived in woods and grasslands, thus developed huge jaws to chew roots and vegetation. Homo habilis appeared 2.5 million years ago. It had less a protruding face than earlier hominids, still retaining many ape features. They had a brain volume of around 600 cubic centimeters and started tool-making technique from stones. Some hominids started eating meat-rich diets. These high-energy foods favored the evolution of larger brains. Evidence of Homo ergaster from Africa is dated back to 2 million years ago. They had a net brain volume of up to 850 cubic centimeters. Homo erectus appeared in Asia about 1.8 to 1.5 million years ago. They were the first true hunter-gatherers, and had a brain size of around 1,000 cubic centimeters. Homo heidelbergensis, who had brain capacity similar to that of modern humans, lived in Africa and Europe around 600,000 years ago. Earliest shelter building, like wooden huts, are known from Chichibu, Japan back from 500,000 years ago. Early human began to hunt with spears about 400,000 years ago. Neanderthals appeared 230,000 years and were found from Britain to Iran. They became extinct with the advent of modern humans. Homo sapiens appeared 195,000 years ago. Oldest modern human remains are two skulls found in Ethiopia. Their average brain volume was 1,350 cubic centimeters. Mitochondria leave, the direct ancestor, or as called mother to all living people today, may have appeared 170,000 years ago in Africa. Between 150 to 50,000 years ago, early humans developed the ability to speak, trade and make jewelry, and started the rituals of burying the dead. Homo erectus died out in Asia and were replaced by modern men about 33,000 years ago. Homo floresiensis, hobbit people, found on the Indonesian island of Flores, were found 18,000 years ago and were about 1 meter tall. Modern people reached America about 12,000 years ago and had occupied almost the whole world by then. Let's.
Alright, there we go. Alright. So, brain size. So this is one of the many factors of the evolution of the mind and the brain. So brain size is only one factor of the many attributes to cognitive abilities of the modern human brain. Having larger brains means one can process and store information, which is key to survival in an always changing environment. So here's a little timeline also of the brain and its changes. So from 6 to 2 million years ago, the brain underwent a slight increase in size, which enabled these early humans to start making very simple tools. From 2 million to 800,000 years ago, early humans began to migrate and spread to different locations throughout the globe. This led to increase in brain size due to the change of the environment and new challenges that early humans had to face. From 800,000 to 200,000 years ago, early human brains increased rapidly due to dramatic climate change. These complex brains gave way to human interaction, symbolism, and even language. So, structure of the brain. As the brain increased in size, the many structures in the brain also changed that are responsible for the cognitive abilities and brain functions we have today. This is called encephalization. So early on in hominid development and with the expansion of brains, the neurocortex, which is involved in higher order thinking and makes up 75% of the human brains, had began to slowly expand with it. This helped with reorganizing its functions from not just visual processing, but allowing to be part of other regions of the brain, furthering our intelligence functions and social behaviors. So this is just, the neurocortex is pretty much like what makes up the brain, and it's like most, like when you think of a brain or see it in a cartoon or whatever, it's like the pink part, I guess. So yeah, that's neurocortex. With bigger brains come more neurons that could participate in encoding of a particular event, leading to a finer grained memory and more potential routes for associating one stimulus with another. So pretty much with bigger brains became like more functions, I suppose. This also helped with the having more neurons to function and fire with it. So, structure of the brain. Furthermore, the temporal lobes also began to increase in size. They are involved in processing sensory input and to derive meanings from the appropriate retention of visual memory, language comprehension, and emotional association. The temporal lobe includes the prefrontal cortex, which furthered functions with complex decision-making and social behaviors. Lastly, the cerebellum began to increase in size. Its function was associated with balance, fine motor control, speech, and cognition. It is thought that speech actually stemmed from fine motor control due to learning complex muscle actions associated with muscles of the mouth. And I believe it's like actual speech and whatnot started around 250,000 years ago, along with like kind of cultural symbolism and like burial. So with the increase in many of these structures, there was a decrease in muscle and joint attachments, like the jawbones in the skull, so that the brain had more room to increase in size in other areas. So pretty much as the brain increased, it left less room for muscles and whatnot. So yeah. So theories of innovation. There are many factors that go into the development of our brains and the many abilities and functions we have. In the beginning, natural selection played a part in the evolution of humans and life in general. Certain species and groups would, over time, adapt to their environment. While early humans date back 4 to 6 million years, most cognitive achievements came from the last 250,000 years. Why did it take so long for humans to evolve, and why did everything happen in such a short period compared to all of the rest of human history? So, what actually gave humans an upper hand in innovation, invention, and new ideas was social learning and collective learning. These are two very big theories that many scientists believe today. The slow but steady advancements of the brain around 2 to 1.6 million years ago, around Homo erectus, signs of social and collective learning, as well as the spread of ideas from culture to culture, became present in these Homo erectus groups. Social learning is the ability to learn from others by observing or instruction. So they're able to finally comprehend what other people in their group are doing and see what they're doing and learn from this. These ideas became present with sparks of new inventions like stone axes and even fire, which gave a better social setting within a group. That is also another theory that having a central gathering place like the fire made like social interactions more present in human. Like that's where human interaction kind of started. Some scientists believe. So from this like fire and stone making or tool making and stuff, early humans started to learn from each other, which gave way to new inventions at a more rapid pace. Also helping this was collective learning, or the sharing and preservation of ideas through generations and groups. Collective learning was key because it was a new way of adapting to the environment without evolution, which takes thousands of years. So this is like pretty much passing on like knowledge from one generation to the next, or which definitely helped early humans like figure out what how to survive and whatnot. Scientists believe that with the start of migration within Homo erectus groups, early humans started to share ideas with each other through social or collective learning, which ultimately helps speed up the birth of new ideas. So this is why ideas sped up in the last 250,000 years, because there's these early humans figured out new ways to spread these ideas through each other and their generations and groups. So conclusion. As our brains evolved and new ideas became prevalent, we took a leap forward with the emergence of Homo sapiens. Our brains are the most complex they have ever been. They let us interpret meaning, be creative, have extensive emotions, and solve advanced problems. In this 21st century, we are able to learn and share information with the click of a button. As time goes on, we may see new changes in our brain and accommodate new information like our ancestors did before us. Our brain is a powerful thing and is one of the most detailed and complex things in the universe. So there you go. There's all my APA citations, including all my little write-ups there. And then there's the photo APA citations. All right. Thank you.